And for a little more perspective on this case, local defense attorney Barry Covert joins us now. Barry, let's talk about the verdict itself today. How unusual is it for many of the counts not to have a decision?
It is unusual. It's not unheard of, but it is unusual. It really seems as though there was a lot of discord in the jury. There were notes being sent almost from the beginning of deliberations. They almost shut down the deliberations last Friday. Now they've rendered what's called a partial verdict. Guilty on two really lower level counts, not guilty on one of the lower level counts. And then they hung on really the major counts, the bribery, accepting $250,000 in exchange for protecting individuals from the DEA, the marijuana conspiracy, the drug conspiracy, protecting that organization from being discovered by the DEA or other law enforcement. It is a bit of an unusual verdict, and the defense team seems to be very happy with it, and the prosecution is demanding a retrial on the remaining 12 counts as soon as possible.
Now, they can demand that retrial on those remaining 12 counts. What has to happen to have that happen, and is that not what a lot of people say, double jeopardy?
Double jeopardy only attaches once the jury comes up with a verdict, and they did not give a verdict here on 12 counts. So they can be retried. They can be retried over and over again if the government chooses to, if there's multiple hung juries after this, if there's another one. So double jeopardy does not attach until there is a verdict.
And let's talk about a hung jury. The defense had said that they were asking for a mistrial because apparently one of the jurors was being singled out by the other jurors. Is there a possible case there for the defense?
There really seems to be the possibility that a judge could look at this and say that he has to mistry even though the two that he was found guilty on, Bongiovanni, because the juror notes from the beginning made it appear as though one of the jurors was deemed to be unduly, was the word that they used, didn't finish the expression. But the notes today seem to indicate that there were multiple jurors that were holding out. Earlier this morning, they said that they could not come to a verdict on all of the counts. And one of the notes gave the implication that it wasn't just one juror that was holding out, and that there was a lot of acrimony, and there were comments in the jury notes that some of the jurors indicated that they had decided early on, before they even had the case, to deliberate that Bongiovanni was guilty of these offenses. That the juror that was holding out would have to prove the case to the other jurors beyond a reasonable doubt, which we all know is not the standard for the defense. That's the standard for the prosecution, having to prove a case. So I believe that the defense team will file a motion for a mistrial, even on the two counts that he was found guilty on, and the judge will certainly look at it. Doesn't mean the judge is going to overturn those convictions by any stretch. The government will make arguments that those are legitimate convictions as to those two counts. But it is very unusual how the deliberations occurred here. The notes early on as to the juror that felt that there would be, he was, or she was being singled out. And then today's notes that they, it appears that multiple jurors were not in agreement as to the guilt.
Now, finally, this was a very long and very costly trial. You're a defense attorney. The defense attorneys today were happy with the verdict. If you look into a crystal ball, where do you see this case going in the future?
Fairly shortly, the judge is going to require the defense to file any motions that they want to attack the conviction of the two counts here. There was a mention of speedy trial motions that the defense would bring because of the delays caused by the severance of Peter Gerace and other issues. I would think that the judge is going to have a pretty expedited calendar on that. And then if the government continues to want a retrial, which they absolutely will, and they've already said that they do, I could see that we have a retrial in short order of the remaining counts. I would say months, maybe this summer, something along those lines, the fall. But I definitely believe that the government is going to demand a retrial, and they're entitled to a retrial unless the judge dismisses the other counts for some other reason, such as speedy trial, a motion that the defense said that they were going to bring.
Excellent perspective on that. Breaking news today on that trial. Barry Covert, local defense attorney here in Buffalo. Barry, thanks for your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.